Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you wish to serve some pears one day and they are out of season, you can make some that look just like the real pears. You just need a little bit of effort and a little bit of time. And now I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm starting the project with a can of pears. Here I have a 15-ounce can of pears. I'm pouring the content into a small saucepan, but I'm not using about 1/3 of the juice. I'm leaving that behind. Then using a pastry cutter, I'm slicing the pears in smaller pieces. Add cinnamon 1/8 of a teaspoon. Add then a splash of vanilla. Mix it very well and then transfer everything on the stove. And then to that I'm going to add 1 package of gelatin. And then cook it for about 2 minutes. 2 minutes are up and now I'm going to transfer everything into the silicone mold here. This is a cake pop mold. So I'm going to fill the entire cavities there with the mixture and then I'm going to place it in the freezer. There is enough supply for 2 molds and I'm going to keep them in the freezer until they firm up. They don't have to be completely frozen. They're frozen but not completely hard. There is some softness to it, and if there is some softness it makes it so much easier to attach the 2 semi-spheres. That softness has some stickiness to it and you can actually attach them very well. I've tried before where I froze them very hard and then when it came to attaching the 2 semi-spheres it was a little hard. They wouldn't stick. But since they're not completely frozen, you can manipulate the mixture any way you want. When I'm done with all of them, I'm going to place these inserts back in the freezer while I'm working on the next step. It's time to work on the chocolate mousse. So I'm going to start by blooming 2 packages of gelatin in about 1/4 cup of water, and I will set that aside. 12-ounce bag of white chocolate chips together with a 2/3 cup of heavy cream get to be mixed and then transfer on the stove where I'm going to melt this over steam. Once it's melted, I will add the gelatin to it and then continue mixing until the gelatin dissolves. Once the gelatin has dissolved, take it off the stove, add a splash of vanilla and let it cool. When the mixture has cooled, take 1 cup of chilled heavy cream and beat it until stiff. Then add about half of the chocolate chip mixture that is cooled off. Using a whisk, mix the entire mixture very well. And then transfer the other half of the chocolate chip mixture and whisk again. And then it's time to fill up the pears. This is the mold that I am using to create those pears. This silicone mold has 8 inserts here, 8 cavities, so I'm going to get 8 out of this one. And what I'm doing, I transfer the entire mixture into a cup. It's much easier to pour with this cup than with the bowl. I'm not going to fill up the entire mold here, only about 2/3. And then I will place the frozen inserts that I have that are waiting on the side. Once they are in, then I can see exactly how much more it's needed. I don't want to overflow this thing. And once I'm done with that, it will go in the freezer overnight until it becomes hard like a rock. For this step, I like to use gloves. The pears are very frozen, they are hard. It takes a little bit to get it out of the mold, especially if I have a little bit excess here. I will have to push it aside and then I'll push the pear from the bottom and it comes out. And continue the process until all of them are out. If it happens that you have a little bit of a defect, an area where it's not filled up completely, a little tiny hole or something, just use your glove and rub it like that, and that will smoothen off the surface. As you can see, it comes off nice and smooth. There we go. And so on until all of them are done. I had enough material to make 12 pears because I have 2 molds, so I can do 12 at a time. And once I'm done with them, I'm going to place them back in the freezer because they defrost very fast. So I literally have to do one step, put them in the freezer to harden up, do the next step, and so on and so forth. I'm using a cutting board to carry them. The pears will have a white chocolate coating around them, a shell, which is made out of white chocolate and cocoa butter. Here I have 8 ounces of cocoa butter. To that, I'm going to add 8 ounces of white chocolate. First, I'm going to melt the cocoa butter because it takes longer for that to melt. And once the cocoa butter is melted, then I'm going to add the white chocolate to it. And then mix until it's completely melted and set it aside to cool. And for the mirror glaze, I will need 1 cup of chocolate chips, 3/4 cup of sugar, half a cup of condensed milk, 1/4 cup of corn syrup, 1/4 cup of water, and another 1/4 cup of water dissolved with a 1 package of gelatin. Everything gets to be combined here and melted over steam until it's nice and smooth. And then it's time to add the coloring. And I'm using yellow, a couple of drops of yellow, until I reach the desired color. And I think I will stop here, just a few drops. Yellow is very intense, so I don't need much. And let it cool until it reaches 95 degrees Fahrenheit. While I'm waiting for the temperature to drop, I'm going to insert the skewers into the pears. So I just have to hold it tightly with one hand and kind of enter it halfway through the pear, not all the way down. And once I place the skewers in, I'm going to place them back in the freezer again and wait patiently until my chocolate glaze and the mirror glaze are cooled off to the desired temperature. So the chocolate glaze or the chocolate shell has to reach about 120 Fahrenheit and the mirror glaze 95 Fahrenheit. The skewers will help me submerge the pears into the glaze. Here they are, and they go back in the freezer. I'm going to dip the pear into the white chocolate mixture, and that will give me the white chocolate shell. And when I'm taking it out, as you can see, I'm rotating the skewer, and that will help the white chocolate to harden up easier that way, faster. Once it's hardened up, I'm running the pear through the mirror glaze. And then from there, it's going to go on the rack. This way my excess material will drip off. And continue the process with the rest of them. This is my favorite part out of the whole process. The pears are finally coming together. I'm getting towards the finish line. One thing I wanted to say is that you don't have to have the pear inserts in the center of the pear here. You can simply make the pears with white chocolate mousse only. When it comes to transferring the pears from the rack to the cookie, a small knife or a small spatula comes in very handy. And then what I do, I take a toothpick and whatever excess I have, I tuck it in underneath the pear. This way it looks very nice and presentable. And for this process, I still keep the skewers in because it helps me move the pears from one side to the other. I'm going to spray the pears with the orange food coloring spray. Just a little touch to make them look more natural. It's time to transfer them on the platter, and I'm going to use a little spatula to lift it up, and I'm holding the pear with the skewer. This way I avoid any damage. They are very frail. They're beautiful but very delicate. And once they're all on the platter, then I can simply remove the skewer and create the stem. To create the stem, I'm using fondant, and I'm taking a small amount, roll it in between my fingers, make it similar to a stem, and then place it on top of the pear. You can make the stem out of chocolate if you wish to, but I'm gonna go and make it out of fondant this time. Gently place it on top of the pear. It will enter very nicely in the place where the skewer was. And here they are. Aren't they beautiful? Nice, shiny, looking like a real pear. It was a lot of work, but I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it too. Thanks for watching.